100 years on, the story behind the discovery of King Tut's tomb. In February 1923, archaeologist Howard Carter unsealed the door to the burial chamber of Pharaoh Tutankhamun after years of searching for the elusive King Tut's tomb. Carter's determination and eventual discovery became a global obsession, with a beautifully preserved sarcophagus and the treasures of the tomb astonishing the world. Now 100 years on, we relive the fascinating story of how King Tut's tomb was discovered after 3,000 years, becoming the most important archaeological discovery of all time, and how a once-forgotten king became a modern icon. Let's first find out who was Howard Carter. Howard Carter, born 1874 in London and died March 1939 in London, was a British archaeologist who made one of the richest and most celebrated contributions to Egyptology, the discovery of the largely intact tomb of King Tutankhamun in 1922. At age 17, Carter joined the British-sponsored Archaeological Survey of Egypt. He made drawings of the sculptures and inscriptions at the terraced temple of Queen Hatshepsut in ancient Thebes. He next served as Inspector General of the Egyptian Antiquities Department. While supervising excavations in the Valley of the Tombs of the Kings in 1902, he discovered the tombs of Hatshepsut and Thutmose IV. In 1907, he began his association with the 5th Earl of Carnarvon, a collector of antiquities who had sought out Carter to supervise excavations in the valley. After studying the valley, Carter was sure there were still tombs to be discovered, including the elusive tomb of King Tutankhamun, an 18th dynasty pharaoh. King Tut was one of the few pharaohs whose tomb and mummy had never been found. In 1914, the reigning excavator of the Valley of Kings, American lawyer Theodore Davis, relinquished his rights to dig in the valley. While he and most other Egyptologists believed there was nothing more to find in the valley, Carter was set on his theory that King Tut's tomb lay here. He scored a patron, the English aristocrat George Herbert, Earl of Carnarvon, who funded his excavations and was ready to dig. World War I broke out soon after, and Carter waited another 3 years before he could finally chase his dream. Carter's team of local workmen set to work in the quarry. These men were responsible for the real labor behind the discoveries in the valley. They performed back-breaking work as they quite literally moved mountains excavating the earth from the valley. They worked for 5 fruitless years, finding barely anything. In 1922, Carnarvon was about to pull the plug on the whole project. It was then that Carter told Carnarvon about the laborers' discovery of the remains of ancient workmen's huts in front of Ramses VI's tomb. The huts dated back to the 19th dynasty, after King Tut's time. All signs pointed to this being the most likely place to find a nearby 18th dynasty tomb. In October 1922, Carnarvon granted Carter permission to return to the valley for one last season to find King Tut's tomb. Uncovering King Tut's tomb. On November 4, 1922, Carter's team discovered a step in the bedrock under one of the huts. They continued to dig and found a staircase that led to a door with the 18th dynasty official seal of the royal necropolis intact. Carter broke through the door and found a passageway filled with rubble, further evidence of an untouched tomb. On November 5th, Carter wrote in his journal, "It was a thrilling moment for an excavator to suddenly find himself, after so many years of toilsome work, on the verge of what looked like a magnificent discovery, an untouched tomb." Carter sent a cable to Carnarvon telling him of his exciting discovery, and Carnarvon arrived in Luxor on November 22nd. By November 26th, the workmen had uncovered the lower part of the door, showing the cartouche of Tutankhamun. They had also cleared the passageway, leading to a second sealed door. Carter cleared the stones to create a hole through the top of the door and entered the tomb, candlelight in hand. When Carnarvon asked, "Do you see anything?" Carter famously replied, "Yes, wonderful things." In his journal, Carter wrote, "It was some time before one could see. The hot air escaping caused the candle to flicker, but as soon as one's eyes became accustomed to the glimmer of light, the interior of the chamber gradually loomed before one, with its strange and wonderful medley of extraordinary and beautiful objects heaped upon one another. The treasures of King Tut's tomb." After thousands of years of darkness, light finally shone onto one of the most extraordinary archaeological discoveries in history. They saw incredible treasures, including a golden throne, ebony statues, gilded couches, and ornamental caskets. There were carved chairs, bronze musical instruments, gold chariots, gold-sequined clothing, gold sandals, and all kinds of priceless ornaments and objects. Now, Carter faced the challenge of retrieving and preserving more than 5,000 delicate artifacts, all while facing a global media frenzy over the discovery. Discovering the burial chamber. The tomb was made up of different rooms and chambers. The most prized of these was King Tut's burial chamber. Carter finally unsealed the burial chamber and the pharaoh's sarcophagus on February 16, 1924. The chamber was strewn with paintings and gilded shrines. In the middle was the remarkable pink quartzite sarcophagus, protected by carved reliefs of winged goddesses. Carter recalled the opening of the sarcophagus as the supreme and culminating moment of the whole discovery. He raised the 2,500-pound stone lid with a pulley system in front of an audience of officials. When he rolled back the shrouds covering the contents of the sarcophagus, Carter said, "A gasp of wonderment escaped our lips. So gorgeous was the sight that met our eyes." They came face to face with King Tut, a 7-foot-long figure made of gold-covered wood. They would soon discover this was the first of 3 nesting coffins, all intricately decorated. The third and final coffin was made from solid gold. The figure inside had its hands clasped across its chest, holding a scepter made of gold. The twin heads of a cobra and vulture were mounted on the golden forehead, representing the immortal king. Carter wrote in his journal, "Many and disturbing were our emotions, most of them voiceless. But, in that silence, to listen, you could almost hear the ghostly footsteps of the departing mourners." The New York Times called it, perhaps, the most extraordinary day in the whole history of Egyptian excavation. The journalist wrote, "It finally ended in a wonderful revelation, for before the spectators was the resplendent mausoleum of the king, a spacious and beautifully decorated chamber completely occupied by an immense shrine covered with gold inlaid with brilliant blue faience." What happened to King Tut's tomb? The tomb of King Tutankhamun was one of the most well-preserved tombs ever found. Remarkably, thousands of years later, the sarcophagus and mummy were still almost fully intact. Howard Carter would go on to catalog over 5,400 items found in King Tut's tomb. Carter later returned to Britain as a distinguished museum curator. The objects discovered in King Tut's tomb will now be displayed in the Egyptian Museum in Cairo. King Tut's sarcophagus and mummy were returned to the tomb, and you can view it on tours. King Tut's legacy. King Tutankhamun has become one of the most well-known pharaohs of ancient Egypt. But his life on Earth tells a remarkably different story. He began his reign when he was just 9 years old, ruling from 1333 BCE until his untimely death at age 19 in 1323 BCE. While his death remains a mystery, and some say it was murder, scientists say he most likely died from a broken leg and subsequent infection. His reign was considered insignificant compared to other great rulers like Ramses or Thutmose III. King Tut was buried in a relatively small, cramped tomb for the pharaohs of the times. He also traditionally should have been buried close to family in the Western Valley. Some theories say that because he died so young, he was unable to finish his intended grand tomb. Another theory is that Tutankhamun's successor, strategically swapped out the tombs and saved for himself the more spectacular tomb in the Western Valley, close to the tomb of Amenhotep III, Tut's grandfather. We may never know the true story, but the fact remains that King Tutankhamun was hidden from the world for more than 3,000 years. He lay in his gilded tomb, undisturbed through millennia of empires, civilizations, wars, and natural disasters. But this once-forgotten king has since transformed into an ancient icon, captivating the world and inspiring countless film, exhibitions, and art. Today, he's one of the most renowned ancient rulers of all time, and his intact royal tomb has given historians a wealth of information about ancient Egypt. Over a century later, we're still fascinated by it all. From Howard Carter's unwavering determination to the Egyptomania that gripped the world, and the intriguing story of King Tutankhamun himself. This is a story that will be told for centuries more. Let's now take a look at the 30 incredible treasures discovered in King Tut's tomb. 1. Death Mask. Tutankhamun's death mask is probably the most famous artifact found in his tomb. Placed on Tut's face, the 21-inch long, 53 centimeters, ornate mask was manufactured mainly from gold inlaid with semi-precious stones and colored glass paste, and weighs a whopping 22 pounds, 10 kilograms. Galil Ali Hassan, an emeritus professor in the Cairo University Department of Mechanical Design, wrote in a 2016 paper published in the International Journal of Advancement in Engineering and Technology. The eyes are produced from obsidian and quartz, Hassan wrote, noting that the mask depicts Tutankhamun with a long beard and a headdress bearing a cobra and a vulture. On the back of the death mask is a spell from the Book of the Dead, written in hieroglyphs, which guaranteed the mask's ability to function as the face of the deceased. Marianne Eaton Krauss, a senior fellow at the American Research Center in Egypt, wrote in her book, The Unknown Tutankhamun. She noted that the third innermost coffin that Tutankhamun was buried in has the same spell written on it. 2. Iron daggers. Tutankhamun was buried with 2 daggers, one with an iron blade and one with a gold one. Both daggers were found wrapped in different layers of the pharaoh's mummy bandages, according to the book, Iron from Tutankhamun's Tomb, American University in Cairo Press, 2022. The dagger with the iron blade was placed by Tutankhamun's right thigh, researchers noted in the book. The iron used in the dagger was out of this world, crafted from a meteorite, and the dagger has a pommel made of rock crystal, as well as a gold handle with intricate patterns carved on it. The dagger with the gold blade, which also has a gold handle with intricate carvings, was found above the abdomen of Tutankhamun, the researchers wrote. 3. Board games. Tutankhamun's tomb had at least 4 board games in it. According to the book, Ancient Egyptians at Play, Board Games Across Borders. Some of the boards and game pieces found in the tomb were made of ivory, and the boards seemed designed for the game of 20 and Senet. Neither game's rules are entirely clear. The Grand Egyptian Museum notes that Senet was played with a board of 30 squares, and the goal was to safely navigate all the pieces off the board while preventing the opponent from doing the same. The game of 20 rules are also uncertain. Among scholars who have studied the game, it is generally assumed that the 2 players started on each of the opposite sides of the board, and that they then moved their pieces down the central aisle toward the final field and off the board to win the game. 4. Garment mannequin. One of the lesser-known treasures from Tutankhamun's tomb is a mannequin used to help choose, adjust, and store the king's wardrobe and jewelry. Tut was, of course, a very snappy dresser with a huge wardrobe, both for his life and afterlife. Laura Rainieri Roy, founder and director of Ancient Egypt Alive, an educational organization, told Live Science in an email. There were hundreds of garments, 12 sumptuous robes, dozens of sandals, underwear, socks, even Tut's baby clothes that British archaeologist Howard Carter found in Tut's tomb, Rainieri Roy noted. It makes sense for such a clothes horse to need a mannequin on which to hang, display ornate robes and jewelry, even perhaps for his wardrobe attendants to make and prepare outfits and make adjustments to the king's vestments. 5. Golden sandals. Tutankhamun's mummy was found wearing gold sandals. The total length was about 29.5 centimeters, 11.6 inches. Tutankhamun likely would not have worn these sandals when he was alive, Veldmeijer said. Sandals like these would likely have been made specifically for his burial. These gold sandals would have been cut from a plate of gold sheet and embossed, probably on a soft surface protected by a layer of leather, Veldmeijer said, noting that this process is not that different from how in modern days thin metal is hammered into shape and decorated. 6. Tutankhamun's coffin. Tutankhamun was laid to rest within 3 coffins nested within each other. The combined coffin weighs about 1.25 tons. The large size of the coffins, coupled with the relatively small size of Tutankhamun's tomb, made it challenging for Carter to open them. All 3 coffins show Tutankhamun with a long beard and holding a crook and flail. The outer coffin is made of gilded wood and has blue and red glass on its crook and flail. The second coffin is also made of gilded wood and was found with several plants, including disintegrating lotus flowers on it. The third and innermost coffin is made of solid gold and was found wrapped in linen. Tutankhamun was laid to rest within this innermost coffin, with his death mask among other items on him. 7. Tutankhamun's throne. 2 thrones were found in Tutankhamun's tomb. One was made of ebony, and because it resembled a bishop's chair, Carter called it the ecclesiastical throne, although there is no evidence that it had a special religious purpose. The other throne, sometimes called the golden throne, has a depiction of Tutankhamun and his wife, Ankhesenamun. In his notes, Carter wrote that Ankhesenamun seems to be placing ointment or perfume on Tutankhamun. This throne is about 3 feet, 1 meter, tall and was wrapped in linen. It is a wooden chair with a solid, slightly sloping back panel, arms, openwork side panels, and 4 legs carved to resemble lion legs. The chair was covered in gold and silver foil and inlaid with colorful stones, glass, and glazed ceramic. 8. Chariots. 6 chariots were found in Tutankhamun's tomb, according to research published in 2020 in the journal International Committee for Egyptology. Carter referred to 2 of the most elaborate chariots as state chariots, the team noted in their paper. The researchers' in-depth analysis and restoration of one of the state chariots found that it had a canopy above it that could have provided shade for those riding in it. The chariot also has images of 6 foreign captives on its right side, as well as hieroglyphs with the names of Tutankhamun and Ankhesenamun. It also has an image of a solar falcon with outstretched wings and a hieroglyphic inscription saying that the falcon represents Horus, an Egyptian god associated with the sun. This entire design may be interpreted as the appearance of the royal couple adored by the people of Egypt, ensuring the life and stability of the king and queen under the sun god, who is hovering above and protecting them, the team wrote in their paper. 9. Trumpets. 2 trumpets, one made of silver and the other of gilded bronze, were found in Tutankhamun's tomb and are among the oldest surviving labrasones, instruments played with vibrations from the lips, in the world, according to the book The Science of Brass Instruments. Musician James Tappern played the trumpets in a 1939 BBC broadcast that can be heard on YouTube. However, to play the trumpets, he had to use a modern wooden mouthpiece, so it's not clear if the pitches Tappern played would have been possible in Tutankhamun's time, the researchers noted. Today, the playing of these instruments is prohibited because of their fragility. 10. Anubis. This statue of Anubis, a jackal-headed ancient Egyptian god associated with mummification, was found in Tutankhamun's tomb. It is made of wood and gold. This wooden shrine depicts Anubis as a black jackal and was placed at the entrance to the treasury room to guard the pharaoh's inner organs. The shrine is now on display at the Egyptian Museum in Cairo. 11. Breastplate. This colorful breastplate was discovered in the tomb of Tutankhamun and appears to have a scarab-shaped amulet at center. These amulets were often found in ancient Egypt, as the scarab beetle was seen as a symbol of resurrection or rebirth. The colorful breastplate from King Tut's tomb is a masterpiece of ancient Egyptian jewelry, featuring a central scarab beetle carved from Libyan desert glass, an extremely rare meteorite impact glass. The entire pectoral, made of gold and precious stones like lapis lazuli, turquoise, and carnelian, is intricately decorated with symbols of the sun god Ra and the falcon-headed god Horus, symbolizing rebirth and protection. Key features of the breastplate. Materials: gold, lapis lazuli, turquoise, carnelian, and a unique yellow-green Libyan desert glass. Central scarab. The scarab is carved from the extremely pure, translucent desert glass, representing Ra and a symbol of resurrection. Other symbols. The pectoral also depicts the winged falcon of Horus and the lunar bark, all rich in symbolism. Craftsmanship. The breastplate showcases the intricate cloisonné technique, where partitions of gold hold the semi-precious stones and glass. 12. Osiris wall painting in tomb. This wall painting in Tutankhamun's tomb shows the pharaoh interacting with Osiris, a deity considered to be god of the underworld. Tut was about 19 years old when he passed away. The painting depicts King Tut being embraced by the green-faced god Osiris, symbolizing his acceptance into the afterlife and his union with the divine ruler of the dead. This scene is a crucial part of the tomb's decoration, which illustrates Tutankhamun's journey into the afterlife. 13. Ivory-covered box. A chest of Tutankhamun with miniature panoramas, a wooden box inlaid with ivory and ebony, was discovered in the pharaoh's tomb and is now housed in the Egyptian Museum in Cairo. The chest features detailed, painted scenes of Tutankhamun hunting wild animals and engaging in battle, offering a glimpse into his life and beliefs about the afterlife. 14. Anubis and Hathor wall painting. In this wall painting, Tutankhamun is flanked by the ancient Egyptian deities Anubis and Hathor. Anubis is a jackal-headed god associated with mummification, while Hathor is associated with fertility and love, among other things. 15. Animal mural. This mural from Tutankhamun's tomb appears to show 6 baboons, as well as a scarab on a boat. Baboons were imported to Egypt from further south, while scarab beetles were associated with rebirth or resurrection. 16. Canopic jars. The lid of canopic jars found in Tutankhamun's tomb. Jars like these held the remains of internal organs, such as the liver and lungs, that were removed during the mummification process. 17. Tut and wife. Tutankhamun and his wife, Tutankhamun, are shown in this painting found in Tut's tomb. The tomb of Tutankhamun has not been found and is believed to be somewhere in the Valley of the Kings. 18. Cup. This floral-shaped cup is from Tutankhamun's tomb. The hieroglyphic inscriptions on it ask that Tut be given millions of years of life. 19. Jar. This jar, found in Tutankhamun's tomb, has a lion at top. The motifs at the bottom may represent Egypt's enemies in Nubia and Western Asia and may represent triumph over them. The jar may have been used to hold cosmetics. 20. Shabti. A shabti found in Tutankhamun's tomb. Shabtis are commonly found in ancient Egyptian tombs and were meant to serve the deceased in the afterlife. This shabti is made of limestone and is holding a crook and flail. Shabti figurines were found in King Tut's tomb to serve as magical substitutes for the deceased in the afterlife, performing manual labor so the pharaoh would not have to. The tomb contained 413 of these figures, made from materials like faience and wood, some holding tools such as picks and hoes. Inscriptions on the shabtis, a magical spell, ensured they would come to life and answer the call to work for the deceased in the underworld, making them crucial religious objects for the ancient Egyptians. 21. Bed. This bed is one of several found in the tomb of Tutankhamun. Made of wood gilded with gold, it has depictions of cows on it. In ancient Egypt, cows were sometimes associated with Hathor, a goddess associated with fertility and love. 22. Diadem. This diadem, found in Tutankhamun's tomb, has depictions of a vulture and cobra on it. It is made of gold along with glass, lapis lazuli, obsidian, and malachite, among other materials. 23. Mummy. Tutankhamun's mummy still rests in his tomb in the Valley of the Kings. While many of the objects in his tomb have been moved into museums, the pharaoh remains in his tomb. 24. Hippo hunter. This small statue, found in Tutankhamun's tomb, shows the pharaoh hunting hippos with a harpoon. Despite his health problems, it's possible that Tut went hippo hunting in real life. 25. Model boat. A model of a boat, found in the tomb of Tutankhamun. Made of painted wood with sail rigging, the model is about 3.9 inches, 10 centimeters, across and 8.7 inches, 22 centimeters, long. 26. Outside box. The 3 coffins of Tutankhamun were found in a quartzite box, shown here. It has depictions of 4 goddesses inscribed on it: Isis, Nephthys, Neith, and Selkut. 27. More shabtis. Additional shabtis found in Tutankhamun's tomb. One of them has a headdress known as a Nemes headdress, and the other has a wig known as a Nubian wig. 28. Wooden box. A painted wooden box that was found in Tutankhamun's tomb. It has depictions of hunting scenes on it. 29. Gold buckle. This golden buckle was found in Tutankhamun's tomb. It has a depiction of the pharaoh riding on his chariot. 30. Headrest. This headrest, made of blue faience, glazed ceramic, was found in the tomb of Tutankhamun. It could be used a bit like a pillow. These 30 incredible treasures are just a few of the thousands of incredible treasures discovered in King Tut's tomb, including a golden throne, ebony statues, gilded couches, and ornamental caskets. There were carved chairs, bronze musical instruments, gold chariots, gold-sequined clothing, gold sandals, and all kinds of priceless ornaments and objects. More than 5,000 delicate artifacts were retrieved from King Tut's tomb.